I love this scene. It's really beautiful.
Sit still.
Today, I will be talking about ways to tick off the telemarines. One, you can just fly over them. They always hate that because they're like, haha, we're gonna kill you. And you just gotta go, wee, and they're like, hey. Two, you can pole vault over them. They always hate that because they're like, hey, we're gonna kill you. And then you're like, wee. And they don't like that. Three, you can take a band-aid and stick it on their back and then rip it off. Because they always hate that. You're like sneaking up behind them, and they're like, what? And then they're like, huh? And then you're like, rip, and they're like, oh! And then you're like, shut up, it don't hurt that bad. And they're like, yes, it does! Ah! The Prince Caspian DVD has been out for about a week now, and I've watched the movie I don't know how many times, but it's been awesome. And it's really been fun to be able to look at the Prince Caspian movie in more detail, and now I can finally see all the things I wanted to see when I was in theaters, but I was like, the scene's gone by, I can't analyze it, and now I can. So, first off, I'm going to start off with my favorite and least favorite moments in the movie. I thought the least exciting place in the film was when Susan, who is being held by Chunkin, falls like 5 feet down to the bottom of Aslan's house after they set up like, oh, she's gonna fall, and then she doesn't. Why would they do that? The most exciting moment in the film, I think, is when the griffins are flying in. Boom, all these griffins start coming. You're like, oh yeah, here they come. The worst overall moment in the film, I thought, the griffins flying in, holding those dwarf archers, going after about 5,000 infantry. I mean, how many did they really expect to kill down there? And plus, you don't send in your Air Force right in front of the archers, because then your Air Force just gets shot down. The best overall moment in the movie, I thought, was when Caspian and the Pevensies were going down to Aslan's house, into the very realm where the stone table was. In the beginning, you see they're slowly coming up. They do that nice shot where it's really far away, and you can see this like gigantic room. You're like, what's there? And then it slowly reveals it with the fire. That's an amazing moment. The worst musical moment I feel that is in the movie is when Lucy's walking through the trees and the dryads roll around, and it's an exact carbon copy of the Wardrobe soundtrack from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It really pulls me out of the moment when there's absolutely no variation from the first movie in the soundtrack. One of the biggest disappointments in the soundtrack for me was all the repeated stuff. In fact, it wasn't even until the DVD I realized how much of the soundtrack is exactly the same as the first soundtrack. But it's not Harry Gregson Williams' fault. He said in the Prince Caspian movie companion, which I have right here, that it was Andrew Adamson who wanted him to sort of evoke some of the themes of the first movie and put them in, and he wasn't really used to this because he's usually used to starting from scratch. To me, the Prince Caspian movie has a very different feel than The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie. In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it starts out with not completely knowing what's going on. You gradually find out more as you progress through the movie. In Prince Caspian, the feeling is entirely different. You pretty much know most of the information and the characters don't in the movie, and as you progress through the movie, you get to see the characters discover all the things you know that are happening. One of the biggest fundamental differences between The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian is that in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you are the discoverer, and in Prince Caspian, you are the observer, which is very completely different. So, for me, right now, I'm feeling a very weird feeling, because I've been anticipating this Prince Caspian movie for about 2 years now. Prince Caspian has been Prince Caspian has sort of been, in a weird way, the reason I lived the next day. Because every day I'd be like, now I'm one day closer, be it the release of Prince Caspian in the theaters or DVD. And now it's pretty much all over. The waiting is over, except for you poor people who have to wait until Christmas to get the DVD. I feel for you, I truly do. Now it's just watch the film occasionally, analyze it, have fun. One thing I enjoy doing is playing stuff out of the Narnia soundtrack. I like to play little diddlies on the piano, because I like to play the piano. I'm playing piano for several years, and like on Long Notes in the Wardrobe, I'll like fiddle around and I'll try to play songs from the Narnia on the piano. And so now it's enjoyable for me because now I can start to try and do that with Prince Caspian. By the way, there is this one person, if you do like the Narnia soundtracks, you should check her out. Her YouTube username is The Heartrender, and she has some pretty fantastic stuff from the Narnia soundtrack. She plays the piano. Her arrangements of the Narnia songs on the piano are pretty amazing. They sound really good. So I've included a link to one of her videos in the video description. You can check that out if you like the Narnia soundtrack. So you might not notice in your first glance of watching Prince Caspian, if you look at the credits, it pops out to you, Telmarine soldier killed by Reepicheep, played by Adam Valdez. At first I was like, which one? Because there's like 3 guys killed by Reepicheep in the movie that you can see, but usually they like to credit people who actually speak, so I'm assuming it's this guy in the final battle. The funny thing is, Adam Valdez is the animation supervisor. So basically, Reepicheep is killing the guy who designed and animated him in the movie, which I find that's pretty funny.